What the fuck is azimuth? Getting out of Crimson Canyon wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I figured that after talking to Gigi about finding Stardust, she'd want to keep an eye on me, if only to make sure that I was still safe within her lands. Leaving through the east entrance, however, was quite uneventful. I saw a couple griffins flying over me, but once they saw that I was just another pony heading out, they flew off, leaving me alone. After a short walk, I reached the other side and came to ruins of a pre-war town. The town was mostly destroyed, but not from an exploding balefire bomb or anything like that. No, time had done its work on the homes and shops. From the looks of it, the town hadn't been inhabited since the war. As far as I could tell, the only sign of any inhabitants recently was a large archway over the entrance to Crimson Canyon. It read, "The Red Talon Company. Enter at your own risk." It's a weird message for a mercenary company to have at the entrance of their home, but I guess it was a good way to keep out desperate ponies from trying to attack the place. With the reputation the Red Talons have, it didn't take much to scare away fiends and raiders with a simple message like that. I looked out towards the town, then started to head towards the nearest house. As I drew close, my Pipluck notified me that I had just discovered Sandstone ruins. It made sense, I guess, since the town was bumped right up against the Crimson Canyon. The red sandstone made for a beautiful background for the small town. Deciding it didn't matter, I walked over to the front door to a nearby house. I pushed the door open, ignoring the loud creak it made as it swung open on its rusty hinges. The sound echoed loudly inside the small house. Walking inside, I took a look around. As I expected, the place looked like it was abandoned in a hurry. It must have fled as soon as the siren sounded. Probably ran to a local stable. There were still pictures on the wall. It looked like a family lived here. One picture showed them all together. A mare, a stallion, and two foals. They were all smiling happily as if they didn't have a care in the world. They probably didn't, even with the war and everything going on. The town was more isolated than most. It probably never had to worry about the zebra attack. At least they shouldn't have had to worry. I sighed and started looking through the drawers of a small desk against the far wall. There wasn't much. A few scraps of paper that were faded and illegible. There were a few caps in the drawer and a snub-nosed revolver with a box of .38 caliber ammo. I slipped them both in my saddlebags and continued on. Heading into the kitchen, past a small table with rotten food still there, I noticed something odd in this corner of the small space. Walking over, I saw the small safe was set into the floor. It looked like something was meant to cover it, but some pony moved it to reveal the safe. Moving closer, I took a look at it. It seemed another pony had previously tried to force it open. The lock was in bad shape, almost ready to jam. "Wonder what you're hiding," I said to myself as I pulled out my bobby pins. The lock may have been in bad shape, but a few moments later I had it open. Inside, I found more ammo for the revolver, a few pre-war bits, and more documents. They were marked with a symbol of a lightning bolt with open wings, marked MOA above. It must have been important, so I slipped into my bags as well, intending to look at them later. I looked around the house some more, but whoever came before me already took anything worth taking. I tried to look through the rest of the homes as well, but most of them had collapsed in on themselves. I was just finishing with one of the shops when I felt rain starting to fall. I looked up at the sky and cursed. Fuck. You have to go in rain now? I lowered my head a little and chuckled. I suppose it's only fitting, considering the circumstances. "It always seems like the world's out to get you, doesn't it, Shadow?" Morningstar said. Only now her voice didn't seem to come from within my own head. Looking around, I saw a white shape coming out of the rain. A moment later, Morningstar was standing in front of me, her smug smile planted on her face. I moaned and shook my head. "Don't tell me I passed out again." "No, not this time, Shadow," she said, slowly walking over towards me. "Then how am I seeing you?" I asked, then cursed. "I thought the talisman was keeping you trapped in my head." She laughed. "It is, for the most part. Though it's not a very powerful talisman. Whoever made it isn't very skilled. True, I can't take you over or talk to you whenever I want. But from time to time, I can push past the protection spell it holds. Sooner or later, I'll get past the spell altogether, and you won't be able to stop me. I'm getting more powerful every day as it goes by." As for how you can see me, well, let's just say that I've been learning a few tricks while I've been sequestering your head. I turned and walked away, heading down the path leading away from the town. She followed me, humming a little tune to herself. I stopped and looked back at her. Do you mind? As a matter of fact, I do. Didn't Grimm ever teach you that it's rude to ignore some pony when they're talking to you? Morningstar gave me a crooked smile. Fuck off. I don't have time to deal with you, I said, doing my best to ignore her as I continued down the path. Where are we going? She asked, still humming the increasingly annoying tune. Why do you even care? It gets boring inside your head. It's all dark and echoey. I want to know what we're doing. We aren't doing anything. I'm heading to Halo 1 to get silver back from the Sins. And how do you plan on doing that? Do you really think you have what it takes to take down Pride? What about Sloth? Or any of them? You got lucky with Gluttony, but you don't stand a chance against the rest of them. I'm not planning on fighting them. I'm turning myself in. She froze. You're doing what? You heard me. I'm turning myself over to the Sins. I can't deal with this anymore. Too many ponies are getting hurt because of my stubbornness. You can't do that. What about finding Grimm? Or your other friend? Isn't that why you went all the way to Crimson Canyon in the first place? I stopped. For a second, I just let the rain fall on me, feeling it slowly wash away the grime and dirt. Then I said slowly, Go away, Morningstar. You can't do anything to stop me. I'm gonna go save the mare that I love. The only way I know how. I'm not that great of a fighter. My magic is shit compared to most unicorns. And I'm not that smart. I can't think of a way to save her and get away. But turning myself over to them will save her. I can do that at least. Then let her die. You can't be serious, I started to say, but she cut me off. Do you think that they'll really let her leave once you turn yourself in? The Sins aren't exactly known for their mercy. You know I'm right, Shadow. I turned on her. What do you want me to do, huh? You know, you're nothing but some evil spirit living inside of me. Why would I do anything you say? She gave me a sad smile, all of her smugness and malice leaving her face. I'm many things, Shadow, but I'm not evil. You may think that I am, but I'm not. You don't know anything about me, or yourself for that matter. I'm only telling you the truth, as I always have. You don't have to believe me, but that doesn't make it any less true. You're being terribly nice. I don't like it, I said, giving her an angry stare. Let's just say that I have your best interests in mind, Shadow. You won't change my mind, Morningstar. I'm going to save Silver. Seeming to ignore me, she said, It's funny how you seemed to fall in love with a pony you barely know. I mean, if I was in your place, I would have fell for Stardust. You know him a lot better than you do Silver, and he's always there for you. Plus, those eyes give me all hot and bothered, if you know what I mean. He's my friend. I don't see him that way. I know Silver more than you think. She started to laugh, sounding more like Morningstar. You keep telling yourself that, Shadow. But if you want my opinion, which I'm sure you don't, you shouldn't go into this blind. If I can't change your mind, then at least listen to what I have to say. Not like I can get away from you. What do you want to say? Make it quick. Don't just run in there, ready to give up. Think of a plan while you head up to Halo 1. I'm sure there's more than one way to go about this. Find out where Silver's being kept, and find a way to keep her out before they can do anything, she said, noticing she was starting to fade. How can I do that, though? I asked. She grinned at me with that crazed smile of hers. You'll have to figure the rest out on your own, Shadow. I'm out of time. Don't worry, we'll see each other again soon. In the meantime, don't die. And with a crazed laugh, she vanished. I just stared at the place where she'd been for the longest moment. I didn't feel scared that she was able to communicate with me again, or that she was getting more powerful even within my mind, in the ward. I just felt empty. Maybe she was right. Was it really worth leaving everything I loved behind just to save one pony? Was Silver worth my life? Yes, she is, I said to myself, turning to head further down the path, letting the rain wash over my coat. I don't care what you say, Morningstar. I'm not giving up on her. As I walked, the rain started to fall faster, a storm rolling in like a herd of feral ghouls. The wind picked up and started whipping the rain into my face and eyes. Lightning flashed across the sky, lighting up the landscape, giving everything a flat look with each burst of light. The thunder that followed was like a small bomb going off in the distance. I hated the rain. At the same time, I loved it. Yes, it was a beautiful thing, washing everything dirty and gross, cleansing the land and body in its beautiful fury. At the same time, when you're alone in the wasteland, it was scary as shit. The feeling only got worse when the already dark sky became pitch black. So much so that I couldn't even see my hoof in front of my face. I almost thought I was going to get struck by lightning. I already had a close call at Gator's Fiend Town under Stable 9. How the hell was I supposed to find my way to Halo 1 when I couldn't even see a path? That was like the goddesses themselves doing all they could to make sure I didn't make it in time. As I slowly walked, deep in thought, my hoof caught on a rock that was sticking out of the path. I fell face first into the soft, muddy ground. Rolling over to my back, looking up at the downpour as it rolled over the wasteland, I started to laugh. I'm not sure why, but it was just too damn funny. No matter what I tried, something in the wasteland wanted to make it 10 times harder to do. I shook my hoof up at the heavens and yelled, "Fuck you, Celestia or Luna. You think a little rain and some lightning's gonna keep me from saving her? Well, you're wrong. Nothing can stop me. I'm going to save her, like you should have saved all of us." Lightning cracked again, and rain fell harder. Large droplets slammed down to the earth, as if to show me how wrong I was. Rolling back onto my hooves, I reached into my saddlebags, pulled out the mask and goggles, and one of the outfits Silver made for me. I put them on and found they worked well to keep the water out of my eyes. I reached up and found a small gem embedded along one side. When I tapped it, everything around me came into focus. It almost looked like the land around me was bathed in a gentle red light, cutting through the darkness like butter. So, Silver was right. They did help in low-light situations. I still couldn't see that far ahead of me, but the few feet was better than nothing at all. Shadow 1, Goddess is 0, I said as I started to work my way further down the path. I was just cresting a hill when I saw that there was what looked like a small camp in the distance. There was a flag being flown from a pole in front of the camp, a two-headed Ursa on it. Must be the NLR. I wonder what they're doing all the way out here. It was just then that I noticed how cold it was getting. Not surprising with how utterly soaked my body and Barding was. Shivering a little, I followed the path towards the camp. It was a good distance, but shouldn't take more than a few minutes or so. Maybe they had a dry place I could rest to wait out the storm. I hadn't gone far when something splashed a few feet from me, followed by a white bar on my EFS. A pair of yellow eyes glowed at the distance. Who's there? I'm in no mood to play games. My heart almost stopped when the pony's face came into focus. Wind Thrasher? Moving close, the gray bat pony smiled. About time I found you, Shadow. You had me worried sick. Where do you think you were going? I walked past her. Leave me alone, Wind Thrasher. I don't have time to talk right now. She trotted up next to me, seemingly ignoring the downpour around us. There's always time to talk. Now where are you going? And why isn't Aura or the Colt with you? It doesn't matter. Like I said, I don't have time to talk. Just go back. You have your own stuff to deal with, I said, still walking towards the NLR camp. She walked in front of me and blocked the path. Something's wrong. Tell me. Hold it in, Shadow. We were told not to tell anyone where we were going, I told myself. But no, I was told not to tell, or not to bring Wingnut or Aura. Envy didn't say anything about Wind Thrasher. Of course, because Envy walked off before Wind Thrasher had shown up. And he wasn't there when I met her in Stable 9. She was an unknown to the Sins. A little flare of hope flickered inside me, and I felt the sorrow fading away a little. I wasn't lying when I said I didn't have time when Thrasher. I'll make this quick. Silversnip, who's my mare friend, was taken by a group called the Seven Sins of Equinity. One of them used some kind of strange magic to make herself look like her. They told me that I have to go find them and leave my friends behind. If I do, they'll let her go. So they say. My hooves are tied right now, so I'm heading to Halo 1 to meet with them. Halo 1? You mean that power plant just south of New Pegasus? I think so. I was planning on asking someone at the NLR camp down there, I said, pointing into the distance towards the camp. She gave me a look of melancholy. Is there anything I can do to help? I think there is. First, I need to know if you finished your business with the Red Talons. I did. Gigi's oldest daughter, Sin, is going to go talk to one of the other Red Talon companies and get them to drop that bounty on me. So far, I'm free to do what I want right now. What do you need me to do? I grinned. How'd you like to help me get my mare friend back from the assholes that took her? She smiled, her sharp-toothed grin at me. I do owe you my life, Shadow. So sure, I'd love to help you. But didn't you say you had to go alone? Envy told me not to bring Aura or Wingnut with me. They didn't even know who you are. My smile grew bigger as a plan started to form. I'll tell you on the way. She looked skeptical, but she followed as I continued on. If you say so. What did Aura have to say about this plan of yours? I looked down at my hooves as we walked. She doesn't know. At least not yet. I left her a note telling her what I was doing. I'm sure once she finds it, she'll be pissed at me. You mean you just left without telling any pony where you were going? She asked. Yes, I had to. If I didn't, Aura wouldn't have let me leave. She'd try and come with me, and if she did, Silver would die. I couldn't live with myself if that happened. A thought came to mind as I spoke. How did you find me anyway? She rolled her eyes like I was a stupid child. I couldn't find you back at Crimson Canyon, so I started asking around to see if any griffins had seen you. One told me they saw you heading out, so I went looking for you since we didn't have time to finish talking earlier. I started flying around to see if I could find you. When the rain started coming down, I thought I should find shelter somewhere. I was heading towards the camp when I found you. How'd you see me in the storm anyway? It's pitch black out. My goggles help me see better, but not much better. She laughed. I'm not a normal pony, remember? My eyes are different from your Shadow. The night doesn't shield anything from my sight. I can see as well at night as most ponies can see during the day. That explains a lot. Is that why your eyes glow? She shrugged. I don't know. It's not like my body came with instructions. I guess the good doctor didn't feel like telling you either, huh? He was too busy taking over the stable, and talking to himself about how much of a genius he was to bother telling me anything about my body. Well, gotta be handy out here. She shrugged again. I suppose it does have its advantages. It also has its drawbacks as well. Most ponies out here don't seem to like ponies like me. The griffins don't seem to care much. Same goes for the ponies I've met in the NLR, but I've had some bad run-ins with the groups you'd call the Steel Rangers. I looked at her shocked. I told Lapras you weren't a danger. They shouldn't be giving you any problems. I'm not sure what happened, but when I started heading west, I ran into a group of them just over the mountains, and they attacked me without warning. I barely escaped with my life. Since then, it seems that I keep running into them, almost like they're following me. It wasn't long afterwards that the griffins started hunting me. That doesn't sound like something the Steel Rangers I know would do. It's possible there's a different branch of the Steel Rangers. I know the Wasteland Survival Guide said there's many different branches. Possible. But there should be some reason why they wanted to go after you. It's not like it matters at the moment. Right now, let's worry about you, Shadow, she said, right as we got to the NLR camp. Are you sure they won't mind you coming here? I asked as we came up to a couple of guards who were blocking the path, seemingly ignoring the rain. She laughed again. I've made a few friends while I've been out here. The NLR doesn't see me for what I am, but as an ally that can help them from time to time. She walked up to both guards, one of which smiled wide as we drew close. Well, look what the zebra dragged in. Wind Thrasher, is that really you, or are my old eyes playing tricks on me?
Hey, Quickdraw. Yes, it's me.
Well, damn. It's good to see you safe and sound. Were you able to figure things out with the Red Talons? Quickdraw asked. His smile was fatherly in a way, kind and full of pride.
I still don't have all the information I need, but for now I shouldn't have to worry about any griffins for a while.
Well, that's good to hear. He looked over at me, and his face went from joyful to angry in the blink of an eye. Who are you? And why are you wearing NLR Veteran Ranger armor? I pulled off the goggles and responded. I'm a courier from Equestrian Express. This armor was made for me by a good friend of mine.
Quickdraw, leave her be. She's a friend of mine. She's the pony who saved me from Stable 9.
Wind Thrasher said quickly. Is that so? You were the one who took out that horrible place, then? He asked, his expression not shifting in the least. Yes, it was. The Overmare left a self-destruct program as a failsafe. I was able to use my pip-bug to remotely trigger it, and destroy the stable and everything inside. Why do you care so much? I asked. I have a few friends that live in Stable City. You may know it as Trotzdon. They told me what they lived in that place and what happened there when they all fled. I'm glad that you took out that place for good, he said, his tone somber. It was the least I could do. I saw what he did to the ponies who didn't make it out, and what he was doing to Wind Thrasher. I couldn't let a pony like him live or allow his creations to escape. Wind Thrasher smiled at me.
Well, you did let one escape.
And a good thing, too. Wind Thrasher's been a big help over the last week. It's nice to have a pony who can survey things from up high and keep quiet when you need her to, the older pony said. I looked between Quickdraw and Wind Thrasher, then asked, So, how did you end up with the NLR? She blushed a little.
Well, I'm not officially a member of the NLR, but after Quickdraw helped me out of a jam last week, I've been doing odd jobs for them when I can to help repay his kindness.
Yep. Found the poor girl stuck in a nasty fight with some raiders. I was on patrol and figured if the raiders wanted to kill her, I wanted her alive, he said, laughing. So, Wind Thrasher, what brings you back this way? I thought you were done with the Talons, so you were going to head towards Stable City.
That was my plan. But I ran into a little friend here at Crimson Canyon and decided to help her with something.
It was close enough to get the truth that I let it go. The rain was still pouring down on us. All I wanted was to be dry and warm. It's nice to hear all about Wind Thrasher. Has been doing well since I saw her and all, but where's a place we can get out of the rain? Shit, I didn't even think about that, Quickdraw said. You can both head to my tent. It's the second one on the left. Go ahead and rest up while the storm passes. I thanked him and walked past the two guards and headed for the small tent. Wind Thrasher not far behind. When we reached it, I got out of the rain, pulled my barding off, and hung it over a chair that was sitting next to a small desk in one of the corners. Then I sighed and looked at Wind Thrasher. Sounds like you've been busy since I last met you. He blushed a little, then went to go lay on the cot.
In a small way, yes. Quickdraw has been a big help over the last few weeks. And he's a nice pony. Ever since I left Stable 9, I've been wanting to talk to the ponies in Trotzdon, but I've been too scared. So I keep doing the odd jobs for Quickdraw and some of the NLR Rangers around here.
I looked around the small tent and asked, So is this some kind of base for the NLR?
It's mostly a trading outpost for them, but they also use it as a relay point between the Rangers and the normal soldiers in the area. It serves as a base in a small way, I guess, but it's not official. It's pretty much just a camp. The main purpose of the soldiers and Rangers here is to keep the Romans from taking their way to New Pegasus. Since their own base of operations on the other side of the Great River, they don't see Roman zebras often. I remember hearing Mr. New Pegasus talk about the Romans. Who are they? I asked, sitting down next to the cot. They're zebras who are led by a pony who says he's descended from the former Khazar. He claimed that the lands here are theirs and the ponies here should die or be enslaved. The NLR has been fighting them for a few years now, keeping them from taking land on this side of the Great River. At least that's what I've learned from Equestria. There's always some pony fighting to take away what the other has. Even after all the death and destruction, the war wrought on the land, still nothing changes, I said, getting into a foul mood just thinking about it. I can't say I know anything about that. I haven't learned all I can about this land since I got out. All I know is the land is sick. I sighed. That it is. Though I'm not sure if anyone can fix it. At least we can do is try, she said, her face growing more serious. So let's finish what we were talking about before. Do you have a plan to get silver back from those sins? Honestly, no. I didn't even think I could do anything until you showed up. All I know is that I have to meet them at the top of some tower at the plant and have a day to get there. Last I heard, the power plant was held by the NLR, but they were having problems with the Steel Rangers who were trying to get in. I'd have to ask Equestria about it, though. I'm surprised no one from the Enclave would want to meet you in a place like that, surrounded by the NLR. All I know is what I told you. If the Sins want me to meet them at Halo 1, then that's where I'll do it, I said. She tapped a hoof under her chin as if she were thinking about something for a moment, then perked up. Hold up a second. She got up and ran from the tent and back into the downpour. A couple minutes later, she came back with 2 stallions following her. One was Crickjaw, the other one I didn't know. Shadow, I'd like you to meet Major Mud. Doing my best to keep a straight face at the officer's name, I extended my hoof. Nice to meet ya. After he shook it, I continued. Why did you get Quickdraw on Major Mud? The Major was the one who answered with a gravelly voice. Courier Mare, it's nice to finally meet you. I'm here with Sergeant Quickdraw because I overheard Thrasher say something about you needing to go to Halo 1. Tell me, what's your business there? I don't mean to be offensive, but why should I tell you my business? I asked, doing my best to keep my voice neutral. Because 3 days ago we lost the tower and most of the lower levels to the Enclave. They killed a lot of my ponies and blocked us from getting further in. Now they control Halo 1, or at least most of it. I want to know why you're going there. Major Mud said, keeping his face unreadable. It's okay. You can trust Major Mud, Thrasher said, coming to stand next to me. Fine. The 7 Sins of Equinity took my mare friend. They are waiting for me to turn myself over to them. So you just decided to waltz in and give yourself over to the Enclave? Originally, yes. But if I can find another way to save my mare friend without turning myself in, then I will. He smiled. That's good to hear. If you help me out with this Enclave problem, then I'll help you get inside. I thought you said they blocked you from getting in. They did. But you're a small pony, and I know that Thrasher can squeeze into most places that most ponies can't. With only the 2 of you sneaking in, you might be able to get past most of them, clear the tower of Enclave soldiers from within the tower itself, maybe even get your mare friend back, he said, laughing a little. The small flicker of hope I got before running into Thrasher grew into a small flame of possibility. I looked up at Major Mud and asked, what can you do to help me? Halo 1 was a new idea for power back during the war. First, it used to be a solar array to gather solar energy from the ponies of New Pegasus. Later, a new design was engineered to use an underground river that flows underneath the plant to produce hydroelectric energy. The project was never fully completed, but they did make tunnels that led from the surface to the river below. From there, passageways were dug to go right up into the tower itself. It was meant to be used to run large cables, but since some weren't finished when the megaspells went off, they now make small tunnels that can get you all the way to the top of the central tower. If you sneak in, you should be able to find your mare friend and give us all access to the facility again. If you do that, we could take back the power plant. Quickdraw spoke up next. Or, at the very least, access the main terminal and reroute the power to go to the JetBlue Skyport. Yes, that'd be helpful at the very least. Even more if you could make sure the Enclave couldn't fix it afterwards. The Major nodded his head a little. You mean we could sneak in and save silver using the passage? I asked.
You could. I'm not sure how safe it'll be, but it's better than turning yourself into the Enclave, he replied. I smiled. You have a point. I think that I like this plan. Wind Thrasher, however, turned to Major and Quickdraw. I take it that you'll only show her how to get there if she agrees to help you? And that's the deal. Yep, the Major said. It took a minute to think about it. Honestly, it wouldn't be that hard for me to change where the power from the plant was going to keep the Enclave from fixing it either. The Mark II would be perfect for the mission, but something about it just didn't seem right. What I don't get is how this solar plant is good for power if the sun is always blocked by clouds. Easy. We fixed some of the problems with the hydroelectric turbines a couple months back. The plant now operates to a certain extent, even with some of the cables not set up. It's more than enough power for us, he replied. I see. Well, then I'll do my best to fix it, but only after I know if Silver is safe. All we ask is that you try. If you run across the main terminal on the upper floors of the tower, reroute the power and lock it down. If that happens before you find your mare friend, then do it. I groaned. No promises, but I'll try. That's all I can offer. Right now, I'm more concerned about Silver than I am about the power plant. Deal then. If that's all, Quickdraw will show you to where you can get into the underground tunnels. That also looks like the rain has started to let up, the Major said, looking through the tent flap. How far are we from Halo 1? I asked. Not far. It'll only take about an hour to get to the tunnels, and by then you should be able to see Halo 1, Quickdraw said. Looking over Wind Thrasher, I asked, Are you sure you still want to do this? She grinned. I think it sounds fun. I grinned back and looked over to Quickdraw. Let's get going. I don't have a lot of time to do this. The Major was right when he said it would take about an hour to reach the tunnels. By now, the rain had finally stopped, but my armor was still soaked. By the time we reached the tunnels, I was shivering violently. Even in a desert, the temperature was getting low, and with each gust of wind, more chills went down my body. If I didn't warm up soon, I knew I was going to end up getting sick. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever really gotten sick or gotten a cold before. The only time I can recall myself being sick is when I saw myself in memory orbs. Not like it was going to matter if I didn't come out of this alive. The older NLR stallion gave us a friendly smile as we reached the rickety door that supposedly led down into the tunnels. This'll lead you over the river. You shouldn't have much trouble down there, but from time to time we run into a few feral ghouls. So make sure to keep your eye out for them. If you find the river down there, just follow it northeast, and you'll find where Halo 1 connects. If you do, you'll have two choices. Either try to sneak your way into the walkways, or use the small tunnels. Thank you for the help, Quickdraw. You are a big help, I said. Anything to help a friend of Wind Thrasher. Just make sure you get out of the tunnels safe and sound. I wish you luck with finding your mare friend. I really do. Wind Thrasher smiled. We'll be fine. I'll see you again soon, Quickdraw. Remember, I still owe you a game of Caravan when I get back. That I do. And then I'm going to thrash you this time. No pun intended. She laughed. We'll see about that. We said our goodbyes, and I looked up past the opening to the tunnel and towards the tall spire I could see beyond. It could only be Halo 1 power plant. It was hard to miss. At the top of the small spire, Silver was waiting for me to either turn myself in so she could live, or for me to rescue her. Before we headed into the tunnel, I noticed another spire a little further to the east of Halo 1. It was white and led all the way down into the clouds. I'd seen them before, but never really thought much about them. Now seeing another one so near the place I had to save Silver, I wondered to myself what it was. Seeing how it led up into the clouds, I figured it was something to do with the Enclave, but I'd have to really look into it to be sure. If this was all over, I'd ask them about it. With a long sigh, we walked through the door and down into the tunnel. On the other side of the door, we went down a steep slope. It slowly twisted to the left that led us down. It didn't take long for the sound of water to start rumbling through the dark space. Soon we found the river where we were told it was. It was running swiftly by, a loud roaring sound filling the small cavern it ran through. The river wasn't very wide, but it did look deep, and the current looked like it swept really fast, and could sweep us away quickly if we fell in. I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem for Thrasher, since she could just jump out or fly away, but I know I didn't want to risk myself falling in.
That didn't take as long as I thought it would. Which way do we need to go?
Thrasher asked. Turning my head, I followed my EFS compass until it pointed northeast. I think we should head right. If what he said was correct, it should get us into Hilo 1. I said as we turned down and headed towards the small pathway that ran next to the river. Hey, Thrasher. I know you haven't been in the wasteland very long, but you seem to have picked up a few things that I haven't. You know what those white spires are? He was flying lazily over me. He took a moment to think about it and said,
I was wondering that on my first day out.
When I got my copy of the Wasteland Survival Guide, I looked them up. Unfortunately, not much is known about them. The author said they have something to do with the emergency broadcast system. She called them the MAS-EBS, and she thinks that's how the DJ broadcasts. Same for Mr. Pegasus, but not much else. They're scattered all over Equestria, though. I wonder what they really are. They're all over Equestria. They have to be there for something, right?
I'm not sure, Shadow. Why do you care, anyway?
I don't know. Something just feels off about them is all.
Does it matter right now?
I guess not, I said, sulking a little. I was just kind of thinking out loud.
Well, try not to. You have too much to deal with right now. You should be worrying about something that was built long ago,
she said. I wanted to say more, but a loud hiss filled the tunnels. Ahead, a few ghouls were pulling themselves out from small cracks in the wall. How fun. I haven't had to deal with ghouls in a while. Taking these out will be a luxury compared to everything else, I said, pulling the plasma rifle out and slipping into sats. I took down the closest one to me. One hit, and it melted into a pile of glowing green goo. The one right behind it charged me, but I flipped the rifle around and smacked it on the side, throwing it into the river. It howled when it surfaced, but it was swept away in seconds. Thrasher dove at another ghoul, using her fangs to grab it by the back of the neck and toss it into the river as well. Another jumped her, but she bucked, throwing it off. She took off again, then flipped around and smacked her rear hooves down on its head, smashing it into chunks of bone and gore. A raging roar filled the cavern as more ghouls poured out of the cracks. I took aim and fired. Flashes of green flew down the tunnel, taking down a couple, but there were too many. Thrasher landed next to me, saying quickly,
"Cover your ears."
As I did, I flattened my ears down and pressed my hooves to them. Thrasher opened her muzzle and screamed. The sound was so loud that it still hurt my ears, even though they were covered. The ghouls, who mostly hunted by sound, were worse off. They shrieked and howled, falling over and writhing on the ground as the sound reverberated off the enclosed space. The ones closest to us were even worse off. Their ears, nose, and eyes all started to leak ichor, and when they fell, they didn't get back up. I remembered the power of Thrasher's scream that it had back in the stable, but it was nothing like this. If anything, that necklace she had on that emitted the magical electrical pulse was holding her back. It only lasted a few seconds, but when she stopped, the ghouls that hadn't died from the attack were shaking and howling on the ground. Thrasher swayed, but didn't fall. She looked back at me and said weakly,
"Take the rest of them out quick. The effects won't last long."
"Will do," I said, pulling out the machete and running forward. With a few strokes, I killed half a dozen. Before I could finish them all off, though, the ones in the rear started getting back to their hooves. I brought up the plasma rifle again and fired. Each one that got up, I took out with a quick shot to the head. Still moving forward, I made sure to kill any ghouls that were still on the ground with the machete. A few minutes later, nothing was left apart from rotting corpses that used to be ponies. Thrasher made her way over to me, swaying a little with each step. I smiled around the gore that was covering my hooves and face from the flying blood. "You doing okay?" She shook her head like a dog, then looked back at me with slightly unfocused eyes.
"I'll be fine soon. Takes a lot out of me to do that."
"That was awesome. I'm kinda glad you didn't do that to me back at the stable."
I didn't even know I could until I was out of there. The necklace Dr. Cell made for me dampened some of my power. Though I could understand why with that one. Using that scream in an enclosed space is very dangerous. Glad it didn't hurt you as well. Or make the tunnel collapse, she said as her eyes started to finally focus. Yeah, that wouldn't have been a fun way to get out. The closest ghouls looked like they were in a lot of pain when they died. I'm sure they were. That was close to my powerful scream, most likely turned into what was left of the rotten brains into mush. She said, then she looked sad. I hate killing things. Even ghouls. But at that point, there isn't much I can do to be done to save them.
Put a hoof on her shoulder. You did the right thing. Only kind to put them out of their misery.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt any less.
I started to walk down the tunnel again before I responded to what she said. Why do you hate killing? I mean, it's not like I enjoy going around killing ponies, but sometimes it's the only way to win or stay alive.
I don't disagree with you, but personally, I just don't like taking the life of another. It brings back bad memories from when I was younger. I know I wasn't in control of my actions, but that doesn't mean the blood of at least 250 ponies aren't on my hooves,
she said with a bit of sorrow in her voice.
If I can help it, I won't kill. Monsters like ghouls and a few other things in the wasteland I'll make an exception for. But I won't kill ponies.
I was taken aback by that. You mean even if your life or their life of a friend was on the line, you still wouldn't kill another pony?
I guess I can't say I wouldn't. I really hope I don't ever have to be put into a situation like that,
she said, keeping her voice calm and low.
I'm just scared that if I start killing again, I won't be able to stop. My DNA was mixed with two creatures, one of which was a strong desire to feed on fruit. Dr. Cell manipulated that part of the vampire bat's DNA to lust for blood instead of fruit. It was his first experiment. Mix that with the dragon DNA that also lusts for things like gems and coins, and it makes it hard to ignore when it's a part of you. Even now, it takes all my power not to think about feeding on a pony or animal I run into.
You mean that you want to drink the blood of ponies? I asked, a little scared and grossed out at the same time.
Not want, but there is a small part of me that desires it. I can hold back my basic urges. It's not like I'm a threat to you or another pony. Though at times I'm worried that if I start killing anyone who gets in my way, that the urge to keep killing will get stronger. I don't want to become the monster Dr. Cell tried to turn me into,
she said as her wings drooped a little. Guess I can understand that. It's a lot like me in a way. She gave me a quizzical look.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess I have something inside my head. I don't know who she is or what she is, but before I got this amulet, I said, pointing to my horn and the talisman on it, I had to fight every day to keep her from taking control of me. She did once, and what she did, in that short amount of time, was terrifying. I know it's not the same as what you have to deal with, but it's close enough that I can understand the struggle you're talking about. She chuckled a little.
So is that why you didn't kill me back in Stable 9? You saw a little yourself in me?
No, I didn't even know that was living inside me back then. I could feel something was off, but I didn't know it yet. No, I didn't kill you, because I saw a pony who was hurting inside. I wanted to die just so that she wouldn't hurt innocent ponies ever again. She chuckled again.
Well, next time when you want to save a monster like me, try not to shoot off her claws.
She waved a hoof in the air. A little bone left over from the claws she used to have, still poked out from just above her hoof.
It hurt like a bitch.
I couldn't help laughing. I'll try to keep that in mind.
I'll admit, my claws made fighting a little easier. But what can I do about that now?
Who knows? Maybe we'll find a unicorn later who knows how to grow bone back. I heard about magic like that from Mom.
We'll see about that. First, we need to survive our current disaster.
I was about to respond when voices echoed down the tunnel. Thrasher noticed before I could even say anything. She pushed me into an alcove just off the path and moved next to me, using the shadows around us to keep hidden from whoever was down here. A moment later, the voice became more distinct and I could make out it was a mare and a stallion.
I don't know why we're taking orders from these fucking Dashites, Who died and put them in charge anyway?
The mayor said. You know it was Cloak. She was put in charge of all the ground forces. She says we have to do whatever the Sins say, then we have to do it. I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of her, or the council, for that matter. The stallion responded.
I know. But still, she isn't even one of us. She's from the fucking Crystal Empire. That land is part of Nimbus. I don't remember us signing up to work with those fucking oddballs. They're barely Enclave. I mean, look at us. When was the last time you remember Pegasi going to the surface for more than a couple of days?
I don't disagree with you, but the commander told us to do whatever she said. So that's what we'll do.
Fuck. I feel dirty already and I've only been here for a week. What's so important that we have to take over this old piece of shit power station anyway? Not like we need it for anything.
A sigh came from the stallion. Have our orders. You shouldn't question them. That's how Pegasi end up getting branded. I'd hate to see something like that happen to you.
I guess you're right. I just don't like taking orders from a fucking unicorn, especially one from Nimbus. We should be taking orders from one of our own.
I know. Just try not to think too much about it. Let's just finish our sweep down here, then we can rest up for the day. When we've finished, I'll make time for us to relax. He said the word slowly, almost like he was insinuating something.
She practically purred as she responded. How about we say we finished our sweep and get to the relaxing part a little early?
I like the sound of that, he said. Then I could hear hoofsteps receding back down the tunnel. Peeking around the corner, I saw two Pegasi in power armor making their way towards a light that was just around the bend of the tunnel. When they were gone, both of us moved back into the path. Damn. A close one? Thrasher took a moment to respond. Her ears were up, and she was moving them back and forth, as if she was trying to pick up on something that she could hear. When she finished, she looked relieved. I almost didn't catch that in time. I was worried about our conversation that I forgot I needed to open my ears. So those big ears weren't just for show. Good to know. As we started moving closer to the small light, I asked, "How good can you hear?" She shrugged. If I concentrate, and nothing is around me making too much noise, then maybe half a mile. Most of the time I can hear better than most ponies. We came right to where the tunnel bent around, deciding it wasn't going to be a good idea to keep talking with ponies around who might hear us. I peered around the bend and saw a large structure. It took up almost the whole tunnel. A good portion of it plunged into the river. It had large pipes and similar tubes running down into the swift-moving water, collecting the water itself to push through the larger pipes, moving great gears that were placed around the pipes. Most of them didn't look like they worked anymore, if ever, but a few were running swiftly. With how fast the river was moving, I was sure it was enough to power what the NLR wanted it for. Above the pipes that ran into the river was an overlook with a few Pegasi walking around inside. Some were checking some of the terminals, others guarding the entrances. One looked like he was overseeing the whole endeavor. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to sneak our way past that, I whispered to Thrasher. She looked over my shoulder and said, That's true, but we can still use those, she said, pointing up at something in the cave ceiling. Following her hoof, I saw large cables that ran through smaller pipes, coming down to the structure below. A couple of pipes didn't have any wiring at all in them. They were just metal that ran into small tunnels in the ceiling. It's like we were told. It was on the smaller side, but with my small frame and Thrasher being so slight, we might be able to squeeze through them. Shrugging my shoulders, I said, It's not like we have a better option right now. Thrasher took a hold of me, and with a quick flap of her wings, she brought both of us to one of the empty pipes. Let's get in there before any of the Pegasi see us. I moved from her grip and pulled myself into the dark pipe. Thrasher followed me. It was even tighter than it looked from below. For once, I was happy being so small. It didn't take much for me to push my way in. It was a little harder for Thrasher to make her way in, but she was skinny, so she made it after a little wiggling. You doing okay, Thrasher? I asked, crawling a little further into the pipe. Yeah, just a little tight, is all.
I'll be fine,
she said, coming up behind me. We pushed our way up the pipe slowly. Most of the way, it wasn't so bad, apart from being squeezed tightly by the pipe itself. At one point, the pipe arched upward. We only made it up a sharp incline thanks to Thrasher. She was able to use her wings to brace herself and slowly push us up. By the time we reached where we were going, the pipe came to a dead end. We were both hot, irritated, and tired. Panting a little, I pushed the flat surface we were on. Something clicked and a door swung open, spilling us out into a dark room. I groaned and looked around, but couldn't see a thing. Can't make anything out in this darkness. I felt Thrasher move up next to me, saying quietly,
"It looks like a small workroom."
I noticed her eyes glowing again in the darkness. That's a nifty trick to have.
"Most of the time it is,"
she said. I heard her move forward, and then a door opened slightly, spilling light into the dark room. With a small amount of light coming in, I saw we were indeed in a small workspace. The pipe was right behind me. A small door open at the end. It looked like it was meant to close off the passage below until the workers were ready to use the pipes to install cables. I moved over to stand next to Thrasher, looking through the crack in the door.
"Do you see anything?" "No, and I can't hear anything either. I think we're okay for now,"
she said, opening the door and walking into a long hallway. "Seems too easy," I said, scanning the area with my EFS, and not a single red bar around. Thought there'd be more soldiers protecting this place.
"They might be on the lower levels. I'm sure the Sins don't think they need any up here,"
she said, slowly making her way down the hall. "You're probably right. Should still be careful. With the Sins, you never know what you'll run into," I said, finding the silence oddly creepy. The hall was dank and dim, and only a small light came from the utility lights buzzing overhead. Trash and dust littered the halls, and a few pony skeletons lied in random heaps. From the look of the skeletons, it seems that all kinds of ponies used to work here. I saw unicorns, earth ponies, and even a few pegasi. Once we reached the end of the hall, a staircase led up to the next level. I pulled my newly acquired shotgun out of my saddlebags and started to head up, Thrasher on my tail. As soon as we reached the next floor and rounded a corner, 2 white bars shot on my EFS. I put a hoof up, stopping Thrasher, whispering quickly,
"Follow me and stay quiet.
There's some pony up here." She nodded and did as I asked, keeping low to the ground, making sure her hoof steps were as quiet as possible. It was a nice change of pace. My other friends didn't know one thing about sneaking. Wingnut could do it if he kept his mind on the task, but that never happened. Aura was too straightforward to sneak anywhere, and Stardust... yeah, the word sneak wasn't part of his vocabulary, let alone his abilities. He preferred shooting things from a long way off. "Who needs to sneak when you can kill an enemy from 800 meters away?" he would say whenever I brought up the subject. "Oh, Stardust, you fucking idiot. Getting caught like that?" I whispered under my breath. I drew closer to a room off to one of the sides of the hall. The 2 bars were just inside. Voices were echoing from under the door as I drew close. "Lieutenant, are you sure it's okay for us to be up here right now? I thought Pride said to stay out of the upper levels," a stallion said from the other side. A mare's voice followed.
"Who the fuck cares what he said? It's not like the Sins are even around here anyway. I'm stressed, but I need this right now."
"I know, but why me?" he asked.
"Because you're here, and after we're done, you won't follow me around like a lost puppy," she replied.
A slightly bitchy voice sounded so familiar. I grinned and cracked the door open a little. As I thought, Solstice was in the room straddling another Pegasus on an old cot. Oh, this was going to be so much fun. Sliding into the room, I slowly crept towards the 2 as they started making out on the bed. The stallion was eager to go by the looks of it. Doing my best not to blush or make any noise, I moved around the other side of the cot. Both had their eyes closed as they were kissing each other, soft moans escaping them. I had to hold back my growing amusement, doing my best not to laugh. When it was finally close enough, I brought my shotgun up and said, "Funny running into you here, Lieutenant Solstice." She froze, one eye opening to look over at me. and the shotgun barrel that was inches away from her. Slowly pulling her head up and away from the equally shocked stallion.
You've gotta be fucking kidding me!
Oh, I'm afraid not. Did you know that this place has some really shitty security? I thought I'd run into more patrols on my way up here, but nope, nothing. Oh, and I wouldn't move. You should know that by now I have a bad habit of shooting first and worrying about the consequences later, I said, smirking at her. For once, she actually listened. She didn't move an inch as he spoke.
How the hell did you get all the way up here? We've got the entire lower level guarded. One of my patrols should have found you by now. You really should do a better job guarding the riverways. There's so many tiny holes that lead to interesting places down here.
Thrasher seemed to enjoy the other two ponies' predicaments. Ma'am, shouldn't we call for help? The stallion under Solstice asked.
Oh, shut up,
she told him.
So what now, Carrier? Are you going to kill me this time, or let me go like last time? Because I really don't feel like having a heartwarming chat like before.
My smile widened. Oh, I have a better idea for you. Using my magic, I pulled a couple rolls of duct tape. I don't need to kill you, Solstice. And it looked like you were having a lot more fun a moment ago. So I'm just gonna leave you here.
I'm going to fucking murder you, Courier,
she said with a hiss. The stallion tried to move out from under Solstice, but I cocked my shotgun and pointed it right at him. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Fuck this. I don't want to get taped up to the lieutenant. You know what the others would say if they found out? He said, almost crying. I don't really care. Either you stay and live, or take your chances with my shotgun or my friend. Both Pegasi seemed to finally notice Thrasher. She smiled at both of them, her sharp fangs gleaming in the dull light. She was kind of a terrifying presence to ponies who hadn't seen her before. She started to snicker a little.
I haven't eaten in a while. I'd love an excuse to sample Pegasi blood.
Okay, that was a little creepy, but it worked. Both their eyes went wide as they stared at her. 10 minutes and 4 rolls of duct tape later, I was snickering as I walked back into the room. Solstice and her lover of the moment were both taped together, their wings outstretched and taped to each other's, still in the awkward position I found them in. Solstice didn't look very happy when I shut the door behind me, still laughing as I went on my way. She'd get free sooner or later, but I was sure it was worth it.
I take it you know that mare?
Thrasher asked as we made our way to another level. Yeah, she's not that bad. She's just full of herself. I let her go after we captured her back at Frosty Summit. I felt bad for her and still do. I really don't want to kill her. I figured it'd work better to just humiliate her. Maybe she'd use this as a lesson to not let her guard down.
I'm glad you didn't kill her. It seriously sucked to be killed while you were in the middle of that,
she said, blushing bright red. I agree. And maybe she'll learn something because of it. Though I'm sure she's going to do her best to kill me the next time we meet.
Then let's make this go as fast as we can. How long do you think that tape will keep them bound?
She asked. No idea. Hopefully long enough for me to find Silver and get her out of here.
You do realize that we still have to worry about the Sins too, don't you?
I'm hoping that we don't run into them. They aren't expecting me for a few more hours. If we're lucky, they won't be here yet, or at least most of them won't be, I said as we came to a part in the halls that collapsed on itself. How do we get past this?
Let's see if we can get by it in one of the rooms,
Thrasher said, heading to one of the side doors. Good idea. I followed. She tried the door, but it was locked. I can get it.
We could always try another room,
Thrasher said, turning her head towards the other door in the hall. First lesson when it comes to sneaking into your enemy's base: don't always take the easy route. Trust me, it didn't do me any good when I did that in Stable 9, I said, pulling out my bobby pins and getting to work on the door.
Why? It's not like they know we're coming. In Stable 9, Dr. Sell knew you were there and how to make you go where he wanted.
The lock wasn't very hard. It only took me a few seconds to push the pins into place and turn the lock. Knowing the Sins, they'll have a backup plan in case I don't do what they say and try something just like this. So, I'm not going to make it easy for them to trap us. What, do you really think they blocked the hall just to force you to go a different way? I pushed the door open. Envy used some kind of magic to look like a mare, just to follow me and then force me to come here. I wouldn't put it past him. We walked into the room, closing the door behind us. It was an office. It looked like it used to belong to a supervisor. It was bigger than you'd expect in a place like this, with one big desk at one end. It was covered with paperwork and a terminal. The office had lots of odds and ends scattered all over it, a few filing cabinets, and an oddly set up cot in the other end. There were posters on the wall, and some posters of the Ministry of Arcane Science and Ministry of Awesome, and a couple of the Shadow Bolts. The others were of constellations, photos of rockets and a planetary chart. On the desk was a plaque with a name on it. Professor Augustine was written on it, and just under the name it said Head Researcher. I walked over to the desk, looking at it. Why would a plant have a head researcher? Who knows? Maybe they were using this place for more than just generating power, Thrasher said, looking around the room, trying to find a way past the blockade in the hall. I moved around the desk and sat down at the terminal. It wasn't even locked. While Thrasher looked around, I let my curiosity take over, tried to look through the notes. Personal log, 204. Another day in the shithole. Still can't believe I was fired from the MAS. Over what? Passing on some of my research to friends in Stable Tech. It's not like it was anything big. Prickly Petal just wanted to know what I knew about protective barriers. They were looking into using the tech to help protect Ponykind from Megaspell destruction. Here I thought the whole point of the Ministries was to protect Equestria and win the war. I guess I was wrong. Still, it was nice of Prickly Petal to help me get a job here, even if the ponies here don't seem to respect my position or my intelligence. I was one of the top researchers for Twilight Sparkle. I was even helping work on a new Megaspell, but no. They don't care one bit. Fuck 'em. I'm going to show them all that they made the wrong decision by throwing me out. Personal log 214. I've had a breakthrough. When I started working here, they wanted me to find a new way to make power for Equestria. One that didn't use solar radiation. One of my underlings came with a bright idea to use hydropower, and we all developed a system that would perfectly use the underground river. It wasn't a breakthrough, though. While my underlings were working on this new idea, I started looking into some of the older systems here, and found that this power plant was built with high-powered frequency transmitters. I have no idea why they would need something like that here. But when I started to dig deeper, I found that they were being built for a project that was never completed. Something the MOA and the MAS were working on together. The more I look into it, the more that I've learned. In the transmitter room, a pony could set up a program to transmit signals to a satellite. If some pony could weaponize a Megaspell and put it in a satellite, they could make the perfect weapon to use against the zebras. With that kind of power, we could win the war easily. I'm going to talk to Petal about this and see what she thinks. She's my only true friend, and the only pony I can trust with this knowledge. Personal log number 240. Today, my life changed forever. No longer will any pony look down on me as the mare who was kicked out of the MAS, or the poor mare who took a shitty job at the local power plant. No. Ponies will look at me and know that I'm the pony who saved Equestria. I talked with a representative of the OMA, and they're funding my new project and putting me in charge of the whole team of ponies, not just the 3 idiots I have now. Personal log 303. Finally, I figured out what we can do to make this work. At first, the problem I was running into was how you control something as powerful as a Megaspell that's too far away to have a unicorn activate. It was the same problem Twilight was having with the Celestia 1 project. Well, that and how to make it work even on a cloudy day. I think I know how to fix both problems. At first, it seemed so simple. The Megaspells could use the sun to recharge itself, with no need to keep unicorns around to do it. But you can't keep a satellite in the same place in orbit, or keep the sun on all the time. I'm still working on that problem. The other problem that I think would matter on a cloudy day, or at night, Being dark wouldn't matter if the mega spell was already charged. Same for a cloudy day. But we still can't seem to get the numbers to work with how the mega spell would fire if it can't see its target. Even if it is a sunny day, it's still a problem. What I think we need to do is make something that can target it from down here, and then send a signal up to the satellite. I'm still working on how to do this, but I know I'm on the right path. The only other thing I'm worried about, is the blast radius. If the numbers I'm seeing are right, this could either be too weak from such a high altitude to do too much damage, or destroy more than the intended target. I'll have to see if there's a way I can contain the blast. The rest of the files were corrupted, but from what I read, it looked like they were developing some kind of massive weapon here with the help of the Ministry of Awesome. Either they never finished it, or the project didn't work the way they thought it would, since the zebras blew everything up. That name, though. The pony this mare was friends with, Prickly Petal, she was Night Stalker's sister. From the way it looked, he was using his sister to get this mare to help him make a super weapon, one that I'm sure he would love to have had at his disposal. Putting it out of my head for now, I looked at the last thing on the terminal. It was an audio file. I downloaded all the files into my pip-book and then slipped my ear bloom into my ear and played the audio file. A soft mare's voice floated into my ear. I met with a pony from the MOA today, the same one who helped me set up this whole project. He wanted to know how things were going. Not sure why, but the way he was questioning me, and I'm starting to think twice about the whole thing. I told him what I could, but I left things out. The satellite will go up later today, and everything's ready to go. But I didn't tell him how it really works. I'm going to send all my research to a contact I have at the Ministry of Arcane Sciences, and see if Twilight herself can come to look this over. I hope she does. I'm not sure what that Pegasus wants for it, but it's not to help us win the war. I'm leaving the passcodes for terminals upstairs in my safe, and leaving this on the terminal just in case something happens to me before I can get the information to the MAS. This way, the right ponies will get this before he gets his hooves on it. I hope I'm wrong, but I know better. I'm never wrong. Damn, it was a smart pony. If she was able to see through Night Stalker's bravado and see the pony he really was. She did whatever she could to stop him from getting his hooves on the project. Turning around, I saw the safe in the floor just behind the desk. Moving towards it, I picked the lock. It was a lot harder than the door, and 4 bobby pins later, I was in. There wasn't much, just some research notes and 3 passcodes for getting into the terminals upstairs. I put them into my saddlebags, then looked over at Thrasher, who was hovering near a vent in the far wall. Did you find something? It looks like this leads to the next room. We might be able to use it to get past the blockage in the hall. Are you finished with that terminal? I think so, I said, looking back at the terminal. I think there's a reason the Sins are here. If this mare's notes are true, there might be a super weapon here. Her eyes went wide. Are you sure? I think so. But from the look of things, the mayor who was in charge of the project made sure no pony would be able to use it unless they had the passcodes. We should make sure the program is shut down then, as well as getting the power rerouted and saving your mare friend. Let's head up to the control room. It should be one more level up, as long as we don't run into the Sins there. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Works for me. Let me get up there and let's go, I said, moving from behind the desk. Thrasher lifted me and I slid into the vent, and through into the smaller office. This one was set up much like the one we were just in, only with six desks in it and less paperwork. I moved over to the door and pushed it open slowly. Checking that the coast was clear, I moved back into the hall. Sure enough, we were past the blockade, and now I was extra glad I decided to go through the office and not the other doorway. The rubble was pressed up against the office door on the other side of the hall. We would have been stuck or forced to take whatever path we had been set to follow. Since we didn't, we were able to stay on the stairway at the end of the hall and up to the next level. As we came up to the next level, a door was blocking our path. Unlike the other stairways, we moved closer to the main metal door, looking it over. It had a stable-like to it, which that I'd opened once. But the light was red, indicating that it was locked. On the wall next to it, there was a terminal. I tried logging in. As expected, it was locked. Not a problem. I hooked the Mark II into it and started the hacking software. Streams of code flew by on the screen as the Mark II did its work. Then the familiar screen came up with multiple words and whatnot mixed in with the code.
What are you doing?
Thrasher asked as she looked over my shoulder at the terminal. Hacking into the terminal so I can unlock the door, I said, trying the first passcode and failing. I cursed and tried again. Both failed. I backed out of the program and started it up again. I hate hard terminals like this one. Thrasher was watching me as I tried over and over again to hack into the terminal. Each time I had to back out. I wanted to put my hoof through the screen. On what had been my 8th time going back in, she pointed at one of the words and said,
Try that one.
The word was azimuth. I looked at her and asked, Is that even a real word?
Of course it is. Just try it.
Rolling my eyes, I did. To my amazement, it worked. Looking back at her, I asked, How did you know that would work?
From what I saw in Dr. Augustine's office, she liked things that had to do with space. And that was the only thing in the jumble of words that had to do with space,
she explained. Cocking my head to one side, I asked, What the fuck is an azimuth? She cleared her throat and explained,
It's the direction of a celestial object from the viewer, expressed as an angular distance from the north or south point of the horizon to the point at which the vertical circle passed through the object intersects the horizon.
I just looked at her blankly for a long moment, trying to put together what she finally said to me. Finally, I asked, Can you explain that in a way that's not smart pony?
Mathematical outer space stuff,
she said simply.
Though that description doesn't really explain what an azimuth is. It's rather crude.
I'll take crude. What you just said makes my head hurt. How'd you know so much about it anyway? I asked as I used the terminal to unlock the door.
I didn't have a lot to do when I was stuck in the stable, so I read anything that I could when Dr. Sell was busy. Mom was always smart. Yet I was too. I think that's why she wanted me to go to bioscience,
she said. I thought you were in security, I asked.
I got hurt when I was with security. I wanted to go into it because a friend of mine was training in security too. He was a few years older than I was, but we always got along well, and he was one of my only friends. Mom was letting me see what it was like to be in security before she put me into biosciences. She wanted me to be happy,
she said, walking over to the door and flipping the switch. I drew my shotgun again as the door hissed open. Walking in slowly, I looked around, Thrasher on my tail. No pony was here, at least it didn't look like it. Keeping my eyes on my EFS, I moved further in, doing my best to not gawk at the amount of tech that seemed to fill the room. Terminals were everywhere. Lights and monitors lined the walls, desks with notes piled all over them, a tall pillar in the middle of the room, and a large glass layout of the night sky. The large layout showed the movement of the moon and a detailed diagram of the stars. It also showed something orbiting the planet.
I'll look around and make sure no pony's here,
Thrasher said, flying off and looking around. From what I could tell, the room looked like it had been used recently. So either no pony was here right now, or they knew we were coming and either ran or were waiting to ambush us. My EFS didn't show anything hostile friendly apart from Thrasher. But that didn't mean no one was here. Luckily for me, Thrasher was just as good, if not better, than having an EFS. She could hear and smell things better than any pony I'd ever met. If she didn't find anything, then I'd relax. While she flew around looking at every nook and cranny she could find, I made my way towards the large pillar that was standing in the middle of the room. There was a terminal set inside it, mixed with lights and cables rolling up the pillar to a large ceiling. I moved closer to it and tried to access the terminal, but it was locked. I was about to hack into it again with my pip-buck when something crossed my mind. Reaching into my saddlebags, I pulled out the notes I took from Dr. Augustine's office. There was a username and 3 different passwords for accessing the main terminal. Figuring it couldn't hurt to try, I tried the username and the first password to log in. And it worked. I watched as the terminal logged in, and a moment later, text came up on my screen. Welcome, Professor. Warning. Plant's power output only operating at 32%. Solar arrays not responding. Checking hydro pump status. Pumps not fully responding. Halo 1 in need of repair on solar and hydro power systems. All other systems operating normally. The text passed quickly, then a new screen popped up. Welcome to the Halo 1 mainframe operating system. Please choose which system you would like to work with. Power output, systems operations, orders, shipments, energy operation details, satellite operations. Thrasher, take a look at this. She came down, saying,
It looks like ponies were here not too long ago, but they're gone now. I think they were using the door to the balcony to get in. I'm guessing it leads outside or to another staircase that goes up to another level. What did you find?
I showed her the terminal screen. I think this is where the power is controlled for Halo 1. But the rest of this I don't understand. She looked over the menus and said,
This must have been where the professor and her team were doing their work. We shouldn't mess with anything until we clear this place out and get the NLR here to look this over.
You're probably right, but we could at least see about rerouting the power like the Major asked.
Yes, we could at least see about doing that from here, but just don't do it yet. I'm gonna see what's on the other side of that door and make sure we're safe before we do anything else. You wait here,
she said, flipping into the air again. No, I can help you.
I know you can, but it's better for you to stay here and keep an eye on the door we came through, just in case more soldiers come up that way.
She took off and headed out the door. Fuck, I said, sitting down and looking at the terminal. What do you expect me to do while you went off to check things out? I sighed and tapped the pillar, still staring at the screen. The last option caught my eye. Looking around and not seeing any pony still, I moved my hoof over to the keys and clicked the last option. Satellite operations. Please enter passcode. I shrugged and figured it still couldn't hurt to just look. I entered the second passcode from the professor's notes. Password accepted. Welcome to the Halo 1 satellite operations system for the Solar Flare project. Caution. This system is only to be used by senior staff of the Ministry of Awesome or a representative from the Ministry of Arcane Sciences. If you are not authorized to access this program, back out of the program now. Yeah, sure, and what are you going to do if I'm not? Call the Ministry of Morale? Please, I said, clicking past the screen. Satellite operations still operating normally. Not ready to fire. System has been put into lockdown by order of Professor Augustine and Head Science Lead Minette from the Ministry of Awesome. This operation requires a project head to unlock the project. You want to proceed? Okay, now my curiosity was piqued. I clicked on yes, and the screen came up with yet another option. Passcode from the head of research and biometric scan of host pony required. Well, why not? I said, not knowing what a biometric scan was or why it mattered. I entered the last passcode on the notes and watched as the screen went blank for another moment. Then new text came up, making sure Hirsch ponies biological matches. Please stay still. Okay, maybe I don't want to do this, I started to say, but before I could even move, a small blue gem connected to a small rod popped out from just above the terminal and flashed a blue light all over me. A second later, it was done. Match found. Welcome to the Solar Flare project. Everything in order. Satellite is in place and ready to start charging. Rangefinder is ready to be activated. Shield spell active. Alignment of satellite off by only 2%. Trying to adjust course. Megaspell chamber holding. Charging chamber holding. Connection with rangefinder holding. Are you sure you want to activate Solar Flare? Yes? No? No fucking way am I going to activate anything that says it's a mega spell, I said, moving my hoof to press N for no. Before I could, a voice echoed from across the chamber, making me jump, and my hoof landed on another key. Text started to flow by on the screen, but I ignored it, pulling my shotgun out while the voice spoke. It's about time you found your way over here, courier. It looks like you're more adept at getting into things than I thought. Who's there? I asked as I looked around for who spoke. The stallion's voice echoed around the room again. I'm not really in the room with you, so you can put that silly toy away. Who are you? You don't sound like one of the Sins, I said, still trying to figure out who was talking. As I did, I looked back at the terminal. Oddly, it was back to the main screen. The option for the satellite was gone. I must have hit no when I jumped, because nothing came up saying something about being activated. Well, that was one good thing at least. The stallion's voice chuckled as he spoke. I'm not with those morons. No, look to your right. I'm on the terminal. Looking over, I saw one of the terminals lit up with the face of a prim-looking stallion. He had a thin mustache and a dark mane, but I couldn't make out what color any of it was because the terminal only showed him in black and green. The face stayed frozen as the voice echoed out again. There you go. Who are you? I'm known by many names, courier, but you can call me Mr. Tops. That's what most of the ponies on the strip call me. It's nice to finally meet you, the stallion said from the terminal. Odd. Mr. Tops looked a lot like Falafel, but a little different too. Was he a descendant of the business pony? Mr. Tops, I thought you lived in the Lucky Horseshoe and never talked to any pony. I don't, but there are times when a pony catches my interest, and you, Courier Mare, have been doing just that for the past couple days. How are you talking to me anyway if you're stuck in the Lucky Horseshoe? And why do you look just like the pony who opened the Lucky Horseshoe? Falafel? Oh, you have been doing your research, haven't you? Good job. Well, to answer your first question, I can access different systems around New Pegasus if I want to talk to some pony. I can't do much more than that, but it's rather helpful from time to time. As for why I look the way I do, it's a little harder to answer. Though I can tell you that I'm not Falafel. I'm just a pony who took over this casino a long time ago, and found that by using the face of one of the founders, I could get a lot of things done. The face you see isn't Falafel. It's his brother, Flapjack, Mr. Tops said. Okay, well, what do you want? I'm not really in the mood to chat right now. I'm kind of here to save my mare friend. I won't take up too much of your time. If I stay in the system too long, the Enclave will notice, and I really can't risk that. As far as what I want, well, I see that you were able to access the mainframe of Halo 1. I'm sure the NLR or the Steel Rangers want you to reroute the power for them. I want you to ignore them and reroute the power from Halo 1 to the Strip, he said. And why would I do that? Because if you do, I'll be able to use that extra power to expand the Strip. If I can do that, I'll be able to make New Pegasus as grand as it once was. Well, maybe not as grand, but close enough. Think about it. If I can open up more casinos, hotels, and businesses, the Strip can become a refuge for ponies in the wasteland, and help bring society back to Equestria. I rolled my eyes. And you'll be able to collect more caps and gain more control over ponies who live there too. Is that such a bad thing? Think about it. I've made a place like none other in all of Equestria. Ponies from everywhere are able to come here and not worry if they see a Steel Ranger, NLR, Enclave, or a random pony in the wasteland. Since I took over, things have become much more peaceful here. If you do this, I'll reward you beyond your wildest dreams, Mr. Tops said. You can't offer me anything that could change my mind on who I'm willing to give the power to here. I don't need your caps, and I don't think there's anything else you could help me with. Sorry, Mr. Tops, but I don't know you, and from what I've heard about you, you're nothing more than a tyrant trying to make his own empire from a hiding place in that old tower, I said, turning away from the tower. Oh? You really think so, Shadowstar? I froze, then turned back to look at the screen. How do you know my name? I know everything going on in my city. I know who you are, where you came from, and who you're looking for. If you do as I ask, I can give you information that will help you find Grimoire. It was tempting. Oh, so tempting. With one click of that terminal, I could save myself weeks, months, maybe even years of travel and information gathering, all just to find Mom and the information she left for me. But remembering what Auntie told me, if it seems too good to be true, it is. I smiled and shook my head. Thanks, but no thanks, Mr. Tops. I'll find her on my own. I'll decide what to do with the power here, and I'm not going to let you or any other groups make that decision for me. For a long moment he was silent, then said, "Well, at least think about it. There's a lot of good that I could do with that extra power. More than what those lazy NLR ponies could dream of doing with it. Let alone the technology hoarders, the Steel Rangers. I will admit that you do have a point, though. It is hard to trust a pony you don't know. Just think on it before you make up your mind. And when you come back to New Pegasus, stop by the Lucky Horseshoe. I'd like to make you face-to-face, so to speak. No matter what you decide. We'll see what happens. Right now, I have to worry about getting my mare friend out of here safe. After that, then I can think about helping other ponies." "I understand. Good day, courier," he said. Then the terminal went dark and he was gone. I let out the breath I was holding and turned back towards the screen of the mainframe again, right as Thrasher came flying back through the door.
"Shadow, we have to hide quick."
She zoomed down and picked me up, flying into one of the dark corners of the room, landing on top of one of the shelves. Not a moment later, 3 ponies walked into the room from the door Thrasher had just flown through. It was Greed, Pride, and Envy. Envy was talking quickly to Pride as they entered the room.
"Are you sure this is a good idea, Pride?"
"I'm not sure about anything anymore, Envy. Now shut that hole in your face. My head hurts enough without your annoying voice adding to it." Greed chuckled as Envy made a mocking face towards Pride as he walked over to one of the far terminals. "I thought you said that the courier mare would have been here by now, Envy."
"She will be, but she has an hour or so left. Knowing that run, she'll try to figure out a way to save her mare friend and not turn herself in. Not like it matters. She has to come up here and get to the top room anyway. There's no way she'll get past us."
"Personally, I wish you would have just killed her and been done with it, Envy. That was the order you were originally given," Pride said, starting to type something on the terminal.
"I told you already, Pride. I was given orders by the Council not to kill the squirt. Not even you can go against their orders."
"Fuck the Council. I'm not letting her live after how much she's humiliated us. If this keeps up, the 7 sins of Equinity will be the laughingstock of all the Enclave," Pride said.
Greed chuckled. "I don't know, Pride. From where I'm standing, it looks like we already are. Come on, she killed Gluttony, was able to capture Wrath. Gluttony I can understand, but Wrath is tough. She escaped you twice, got away from Cloak twice, was able to push back the forces of Frosty Summit, and she snuck past Sloth, that shithole stable. Maybe we should just let this one go and let the normal soldiers deal with her."
"I won't let her get away with what she's done. And you all know that my sister needs that Mark II. If we can't get her to take it off willingly, then we'll just have to kill her."
The door opened again and the cloaked mare walked in. She walked towards Pride, saying, "That I do. But Envy and Greed do have a point. We can't go against the Council's wishes either. Also, after doing some digging, I found what might be the courier has been trying to find a pony to unlock some security programs that are on it. If that's true, we might risk the data on the Mark II getting erased if she's killed. I can't risk that. So Envy's way might be the best course of action."
Pride grumbled to himself, then sighed. "As you wish, but I still don't like it." He tapped on a few more keys, then stepped back as a voice echoed out of the terminal. "Who is this?" A deep voice echoed from the terminal. "It's Pride. I got your message that you wanted to talk with us, Council Stallion." Pride. It's about time you've contacted me. Are we on a secure line?" "Of course we are. What did you want to say?" "We need you and your team back in Stratus right now. You're able to abandon the missions that you're working on right now and come back here," the voice said. "But sir, we're so close to capturing the courier mare. We took a mare hostage that she cares for. She'll be here soon." "I don't care. You're to leave Halo 1 immediately. Failure to do so will be seen as treason and your team will be disbanded and executed. You are to forget about the courier mare and report back here straight away."
"With all due respect, sir, what about my research? We need that pip buck to complete it. Just give us a few more hours and we'll be finished with the courier mare, and the Enclave will be rid of an enemy, Cloak said.
The voice echoed louder.
This is your last warning. Your team will report with the soldiers in Appleton and take the first sky carriage leaving from there later tonight to come back here. We need all Enclave presence away from Halo 1 ASAP!
All 4 ponies stiffened, then Greed asked, "What's going on, sir?"
We have reports that a large faction of Steel Rangers is moving in to take Halo 1 tomorrow. The same for the NLR. We don't have the firepower right now to keep that building, not with Navarro breathing down our necks. We can't let them know what we're doing down on the surface yet. Now, report to Appleton. Forget about the courier and her friend you captured. You got what we were really after when you captured Subject 9712. That was the bigger mission anyway. I want you out of Halo 1 in the next 10 minutes. Am I understood?
All of them said in unison,
Sir, yes, sir. Good,
he replied. Then there was a hiss of static as the pony ended the transmission. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Pride screamed, and spikes of shadow blew all out of him, in all directions. None of them hit Wind Thrasher or myself, luckily, or the other 3, but a few terminals in the room blew holes and exploded. A few moments later, he retracted those shadows and relaxed as he turned to his team. "We only have a few hours. Envy, go get Wrath out of that Alicorn shithole. Greed, tell the soldiers that we have to move out right now." "Sure. Why not?" Greed said begrudgingly, taking a quick glance up at the ceiling, exactly where Wind Thrasher and I were at. An odd look in his eyes, almost like he knew we were here. They both took off, back out the door they came in, leaving Pride in the room with Cloak. She waited for the door to close before she said,
What do you plan on doing about that mare?
It doesn't matter anymore. We have our orders. Just leave her and let's get out of here before I'll do something I'll regret.
She moved closer and put a hoof on his.
Brother, you know we have to finish this. It's cost us both too much for us to just turn our backs on this.
We will.
Don't worry about what he told us. I'm sure we'll still see that little bitch again. All we have to do now is sit back and wait. Trust me, I've made sure of it," Pride said, his body melting into shadow slowly. She sighed.
Do I even want to know what you did?
"Trust me, sister. You don't. Now get out of here while you still can. I'll meet you in Stratus." With that, he was gone, the shadows of his body sliding under the door. For a long moment, Cloak just stood there. Then in a flash of blue light, she was gone along with him. Something wasn't adding up here. Why would they go through the trouble of capturing Silver just to lure me here, and then leave? Who was that pony they were talking to? It seemed too much like a planned-out trap to me. But what could I do at this point? If it was a trap, that meant they already knew I was here. I just have to see where fate took me. Let's get out of here and get Silver before any of them change their minds, I said.
Are you sure?
Wind Thrasher replied. No, but we can't just sit up here forever. She nodded and flew us back down to the ground, right next to the terminal at the center of the room. Before I left, I walked over to it and brought up the menu for routing power. The systems here must have been updated or just knew what towns and places they were called, like Pip-Bucks, because there were 4 options to where I could send the power. I could either send it to the New Pegasus Strip, the JetBlue Skyport, Freedom Town, or an option to evenly distribute the power between all 3 locations. I smiled when I saw the last one. What better way to make sure no pony could get mad at me for my choice? As much as I hated to admit it, Mr. Tops was right. He could do with some extra power. So could the NLR. And I know the Queen would do a lot of good things if she had more power that she could use to help ponies in freedom. So I clicked that one. Once it was done, I hooked my Pip-Buck to the terminal and used it to lock the terminal again for good, making sure no pony could get back into the system to either reroute the power again or use that mega spell. Let's get out of here, I said, heading towards the stairs that would bring me to the upper levels of the balcony and the door out. If I was lucky enough to have the Sins leave Halo 1 without me having to do anything, I was going to pass up this opportunity. The door led outside of the tower into a walkway that circled around it, a ramp to one side leading up to the last room. Wind Thrasher followed me.
When I came out here, I tried flying up to see if your mare friend was okay, but I couldn't see inside. And those ponies were just outside the door talking. I was trying to listen in when they started coming down here.
It's okay, Wind Thrasher. Let's get up there quickly and pray that this isn't a trap. Just be ready in case I'm wrong, I said, switching my shotgun out for the plasma rifle. She nodded and we slowly made our way up to the last room. The door opened for us, and no pony was inside. Well, at least the Sins weren't. The room was a mess, like most of the others. Papers and books scattered all over the place, with a set of saddlebags next to the door. On the side was stitched one of the tribal designs of the lion's head. Odd. Wasn't that the symbol for pride? That's what the stranger said. Why would he leave his saddlebags here? Did he forget them because of what happened to the other pony? Or was this the start of the trap? I couldn't think about it. Silver had to be up here somewhere. She was the only thing that mattered right now. There's no telling what they did to her while she was being held captive. For a second time. Because of me. I ran into the room yelling, "Silver, are you in here? It's me, Shadow. I'm here to rescue you." No pony answered. Wind Thrasher followed me in, a look of horror on her face.
Shadow, I don't think she'd go in any further.
There was another room connected to this one. It looked like the small room had been divided into two separate rooms. Silver had to be on the other side of the door. Maybe she was unconscious or just sleeping. Or maybe she thought I was Envy playing a trick on her. Ignoring Wind Thrasher, I ran towards the door. It was locked. Pulling out my bobby pins, I worked on the lock as Wind Thrasher came back over, her hoof shaking. "Don't worry. I'm here," I was saying as the tumblers clicked home.
I mean it, Shadow. We shouldn't go any further. I smell blood.
I cut her off. "I'm not leaving until I find her." I pushed the door open, letting the dim light from outside flood into the room. "Silver, why aren't you answering me?" I stopped in the doorway, my eyes wide. As the light from behind flooded into the room, I saw what Wind Thrasher was trying to warn me about. The room wasn't large, just big enough to hold a pony, a bed, and a few other small things. It was almost like it was a side room that a pony could use to sleep in if they had to work late. The walls on the far end of the room were gray, mixed with a reddish brown. A rotting smell filled my nostrils as the door opened, making my stomach churn. The carpet of the room was sticky, its light blue mixed with the brown and red stains like on the wall. My hooves stuck to it like honey had been dripped on the floor, leaving behind a crusty, sticky mess. On the floor, laying next to the red wall, I saw a red cot matted with blood. It was Silver Snip. Her eyes were open, those soft green orbs looking at me. It was a blank stare, no light shining in those once beautiful, loving eyes. She'd been stripped of that light. Her mane was matted like her coat. One of her eyes looked like some pony had blackened it a day or two ago. Her horn was snapped off and was lying next to her hoof, cracks running down its length. I took a step closer, not wanting to believe what my eyes were telling me must be true, the carpet crunching under my hoof steps as I drew closer to her. The mare I sacrificed my friends to come save. The mare I was going to sacrifice myself for, just to get her home safe. When I looked closer at her, I saw dozens of small holes in her chest, legs, stomach, even around her groin. They were too small to be from bullets, and the black you'd expect from gunshots told me one thing. Magic had been used to do this. Silver had been pierced with a shadow magic, making it so she bled out slowly. There was only one pony I knew who could do that, make small perfect holes like this. One that hated me so much he'd be willing to do anything to pay me back for killing one of his own. Pride killed Silver. Not today. Not last night. She'd been dead for a while. Most likely since she arrived here after getting him all the information she could about me. I went to sit next to her, pulling her sticky, smelly corpse into my forehooves, ignoring the stench, the blood, and the sight of my dead lover. I held it in my chest, wanting more than anything to take back the last few days and stop this from happening. I started to cry, saying quietly, "Goddess, please, don't let this be true. It should have been me, not her. Silver was good. She didn't deserve this. It's so much to live for. Why? Why did you take her away from me? Thrasher stood at the door looking at me as I was rocking in place, holding Silver's body to my chest, rocking back and forth.
Shadow, I'm so sorry. But we should get out of here before any pony finds us up here.
I looked up at her, tears flowing freely as I whispered, I can't leave her behind.
Then we'll take her with us. But we have to go. We knew you were coming. I'm sure one of the Sins was just waiting for you to get up here so they could jump you.
She tried to say, moving closer and trying to get me to stand. No. They didn't know I was coming like this. They knew I'd come and turn myself in. Silver wasn't needed once Envy took her place. She was just another pony that would be in their way. It was disposable, and once I turned myself in, Pride would have shown me this. It wasn't a trap. It was just Pride's payback for me killing Gluttony. Because in his twisted mind, that fat slob was more important than this mayor who ran a small tailoring shop in a town. He had no idea. Silver wasn't just a simple pony from a small town. No. She was the pony who kept ponies in Cartwheel happy. She made new things so that others could dress better than what most ponies could ever dream of in the wasteland. She was a mare who wanted to make dresses that were as beautiful as Rarity made. She was a friend to a lost filly who didn't have any friends in a large world. She was the pony who could fall in love with a broken mess like me and see the good inside. She was the pony who showed me that there was more in this world than the wasteland. She gave ponies hope. But not now. Now she was just a slab of meat left here to show me how weak I really was. Silver Snip wouldn't be able to do anything good again. She was now in the embrace of the goddesses in a far-off place. A place I would never be able to reach. Looking up again, I sniffed and said, Get her out of here, Thrasher. Please?
What about you, Shadow?
Thrasher asked. I looked into her bright yellow eyes, showing her the anger and pain in my own before I responded. I'm going to kill that shadowy bastard for what he's done. I'm going to put an end to this shit once and for all. I'm going to slaughter him like he slaughtered her.
Shadow, you can't do that.
I cut her off again. Get out of here now! I'll deal with this later. I have to kill something and hope it's a gold unicorn. Before she could protest more, I let the rage fill me, taking hold of my magic and teleporting away. I hadn't even tried to go so far before in my life. I don't think I could, but with how much hatred I was feeling, I knew I could do it. A moment later, I was on the ground, just past the fence that protected Halo 1. In the distance, I saw the tops of houses. It was the direction I knew Appleton was in. And Pride.
Are you really going after that gold pony, Shadowstar?
Morningstar asked in my mind. I'm going to kill him. And if I have to use even you, then I'll do it. So, you can either help me take him down, or die with me when he wins. It's up to you. Either way, I'm doing this. And I'm doing it myself. She just laughed.
Now this sounds like a good time. I like this Shadowstar a lot more than the one you were a few minutes ago. Fine. I'll help you. But you know there'll be a price. Magic always comes with a price.
I don't care. Today, that fucker dies, I said, then raised my voice and screamed. Do you hear me, Pride? You're dead! Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Activist. You've learned the art of pushing past security systems and terminals. You can now hack harder terminals, and you'll get one extra try before being locked out of a terminal.